Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
Welcome everybody to the FPV News with JB and ItsBlunty. We are here to tell you about all the cool stuff that is happening in FPV this week. Well, everything we could find anyway. How you doing tonight, Blunty?
Good, Joshua. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I actually we started a little late tonight because we had so much news to talk about that I was like, oh crap, I got to do the video description. It's a packed show. It is really packed.
Yeah, and we have our show notes, and normally we get like a page or a page and a half. Today we're on to page 3. So
and it's, I mean, I don't want to like just read them all in a row. Like we've been doing that in past weeks, but we've talked about maybe not doing that. We got to do something to fill time at the beginning because people get the notification and they sort of, as the doctor says, trickle in. But which of the stories tonight are you most excited about?
well, definitely the Action 2. We definitely got to talk about that. That's going to be exciting.
The Osmo Action 2. Yeah, me too.
There's some cool DJI news, kind of as a bundle. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
HDZero's got some new stuff going on, and we'll talk maybe about absence of Fat Shark. We've got a cool latency bug. I mean, cool depending on how you look at it, but
I think that is my favorite because I love it when people don't notice. They're like, oh, I'm so sensitive to latency. And like the one guy who actually noticed and was like, something's up here. And everybody else is like, didn't even notice this bug. But this bug also, I think you disagreed and you said, I think that's overselling it. But I think this bug may explain why some people's think their simulator physics suck. That it's actually an OpenTX bug. And we're going to find out if I have been affected by this bug. I got my radio. We're ready to check. Thank you so much, Dominic Clifton, for being here. And Bastian Sonderman. Good to see you guys. And everybody. Everybody here. or maybe I will kill some time as people trickle into the stream just real quick, reading off some of these super chats. If you guys want to donate to the stream and leave a super chat, hit the $ right down here. Thank you so much, Isaac Mitchell, for the Tuesday news. Northern Tier FPV for $10. Bourbon Fund ETFPV for $10. And Grim FPV for 50 Norwegian kroner. Nice kroner. So, okay, well, let's start with. I always sneak a couple of little personal. We'll put those in while people are trickling in. The first thing I want to put here is I will be appearing. GetFPV is like, I don't know. Have they always had a YouTube channel? I guess they must, right?
I guess so, but I'm not super familiar with that.
Me neither. But they started this Legends of FPV series. And let's see what Legends of FPV they've had on. Well, there was Schizo. He's a legend. Yeah, for sure. Mr. Steele, obviously a legend. And I'm going to be up. I guess I'll be number 3 or something. Anyway, I will be on Thursday night. I think it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And links in the video description. And just thought I'd do my part to help promote that. Thank you, GetFPV, for wanting to talk to me about being a legend of FPV. Yeah. Who should be next, Blunty? I'm sure they've got a lineup. When you think of, Schizo, Mr. Steele, and of course me, who are the other legends of FPV that come to your mind?
Probably not a good person to answer this question. I'm gonna say, if you think about people who have impacted the hobby and all that kind of stuff, I honestly think Drib probably has to go on there. Yeah, I think somebody from Rotor Riot's history, and it's not going to be Chad Capper. So, that was a big. Capper? I don't think that makes sense for his current position as a legend of FPV, right?
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting. That's a hot take right there. We're not gonna. I think we probably won't dive. I think it doesn't feel like you want to dive into that one right now.
I don't think that series is focused on sort of thing. I don't know.
It's not. You're not trying to take a dig at Chad or Red Cat. You're trying to say that Chad. He started Flight Test with Josh. So in that sense, but he's not like a legend of FPV. He's a little more of a behind the scenes guy, I think, is what you mean.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think he fits in that list of those 3 people that we're going to have.
Chad Nowak. How about Chad Nowak? That's coming from the chat.
Yeah.
Drib should go before JB, says Floppy Props. Hey, whose stream are you on? Chad Nowak for sure. He's one of the guys who got out. He got out.
I'm certain Johnny FPV maybe.
XJet.
XJet
Chat says XJet for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, I'll be on Thursday. So link in the video description to the channel. The event isn't live yet, but I'll be on Thursday, so you can hear me talk for an hour and a half about whatever. Also, I want to announce that I have started this sometime back. How do I frickin' copy paste this link? I started a live stream clips channel for you guys. I've just started uploading content to it. If you guys want to subscribe, I already have 1 subscriber. You are officially the first subscriber to my live stream clips channel. So if you guys want to sub over there, I don't like posting live stream clips to my main channel because it kind of clutters up the feed. So I'm going to try this out for a while. Maybe I will stop doing it if it doesn't seem to be working. But if you guys want to, at the very least, we're going to be putting the news clips over there. And we'll see how that goes. If you guys want to sub that, by all means do. Let's see how many subs I've got. Have I gained subs in just this? 10 subscribers. So anyway, you can get in on that. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, Blunty, let's do some news.
All right. Well, I think one of the most exciting things from the last week has been the leak of the DJI Osmo Action 2. So this is the new Osmo Action, and the first one I think was interesting, but I don't know that a lot of people were using it, and it was kind of niche. I don't know that it fit very well compared to GoPros and stuff. Mm-hmm. But now we've got a new device here called the Action 2. And actually, it looks like it's a 2-piece, similar to I think we've seen Insta360 do this.
Mm-hmm. The 1R.
Yeah, but interestingly, this actually runs at least appearingly, with just the camera module. And they provide specs and information for just the little camera sensor module. And that means that we have a 56 gram, thinner than a Session style camera, possibly, that you can mount on a quad.
So this, if there are people who are questioning whether this is truly a render, I don't know about that.
That's definitely a render.
Yeah, you've seen the full photo, haven't you, Blunty?
Yes. Yes.
Here's the thing. I am reservedly excited about this. The number one thing I didn't like about the Osmo was the field of view, lack of super view, and the field of view was too narrow. This has 155-degree field of view. Again, according to the leak, none of this is confirmed. And we looked up before the show just to be sure, and that is right on par with a Hero 7, 8, and a Hero 5 Session, which are all around 150 degrees. So it's actually a little wider.
Yeah. The only thing I think we found larger was the new Hero 10, and that was listed at 170. So
actually, that to me, that's the Hero. I knew the Hero 10 had the larger 5K sensor, and I didn't think about the fact that that would also result in a larger field of view. That's actually the first time that I thought, oh, the Hero 10, I want one now. 170-degree field of view is... When I did a video with the 360 cam, the Insta360 1R, it was really fun to be able to widen the field of view, wider even than what you get with Super View, and it might not be for every day, but it was actually pretty cool. So 155 field of view, 56 grams. You said like an hour of runtime on the battery?
Yeah, one of the spec sheets here says 52 minutes for the runtime on that, just that piece. And then if you connect it to the other spots, you get like a screen. So that's how it'll come, apparently, is it's going to be the camera lens piece and then the screen. And then you'll like slide them together, and then they'll like be one unit. So you can use them as one unit, or you can split off just the camera piece and use that as well. So
I mean, obviously it'll depend on the price, but if the price is on par with, I mean, even if what if it was like $400?
I don't know, man.
Would you buy one for $400?
It depends on if you can get a replacement for less than that, or if there's what the like return policy or plans or whatever are. Because like if you're buying it and you're buying the screen with it, but I'm only breaking the main part, maybe you can get that for $200. Yeah, and that would be much more reasonable. But I think it just depends on if that thing's got all the brains. Maybe it will be the most expensive. So it'll be hard.
Interesting.
It'll hard to know. $400 seems like a lot, even for a really nice Session. Like, it's a Session. So I don't know. The specs are really good. I think the big thing a lot of people are talking about that makes the most sense is we have to deal with DJI stabilization software versus GoPro's typical stabilization software we've been used to and their workflows. So that's gonna, like, it may be that Rocksteady looks really good on this camera and it's tuned well, but until it comes out, we don't really know what that will look like. And if you look at the DJI FPV drone, I think Rocksteady hasn't been super impressive compared to other stabilization methods. So.
Yeah, and it like I as I think about this, I almost never use Hypersmooth for freestyle. I know there are pilots out there who regularly use Hypersmooth for freestyle, and for those guys, it would be a significant change to their workflow. If I think we'll stipulate for the sake of this conversation that Rocksteady will not be as good as Hypersmooth and may not be as good as people want. They say it's Rocksteady 2.0, so who knows? But you can do stabilization in post with various tools. So, but that really changes the workflow and complicates the workflow. That's going to steer some people back towards GoPro.
I wonder, like, if there'll be gyro data embedded in that file that comes off of it, and there's some way to get it, like similar to the GoPro, where you can rip out the GoPro file. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
You could still use black box gyro though, if you wanted to. That project does exist.
Yep. So. Interesting thought. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, we're talking about saving, the 10 or 20 grams from a Session, but if you could actually save like 50 to 100 grams from a real GoPro, that would actually be like revolutionary, and people would actually like.
What is it?
I think that would be a huge change.
Hero 8 weight, like a Hero 8 is not like ultra heavy. Weight 117 grams for a Hero 8, so you're saving 70 grams, 60 grams, 65
that's a
grams.
lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I am super excited. I hope that this exists. Obviously, we need to see image quality. We need to see price. I mean, I think assuming that the image quality is, I mean, DJI knows how to do a good looking image. Field of view is okay. No super view, so still not going to be quite as good a vertical field of view. Maybe it'll be okay though. $200, I feel like this would be a killer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It would slaughter at $200, I'm sure.
$300, I think a lot of people would buy it with insurance and cross their fingers. And $400, I think people are going to be hard pressed to not just buy a Hero 10. But anyway, very exciting. Very exciting. Got to say thank you to Sergey Romanov, who left 1,000 rubles. I just have to check how much that is in USD. Well, not 1,000. Thank you, Sergey Romanov, for the they color the super chats based on the numerical amount. You know, so sometimes a pink super chat is more than others. Thank you, Sergey Romanov, for the donation. I see a pink one come in, and I'm like, oh. Sergey, this is not a Q&A stream. I will do my best to get to your question towards the end of the stream. But on the news, at least, we usually don't do Q&A quite like that. So let's keep moving. Yeah, they should convert to the local currency. All right. So what's next, Blunty?
We have a new solution, sort of an old solution adopted into a new solution for DJI FPV video out of the goggles. You know, we've talked about HDMI out solutions and the FPV out project before, Digiview. Now we have a new product from Axis Flying, which is an attempt to build an all-in-one, nicely developed box that kind of does everything for you. So this is running Digiview in the box, basically. It also runs Betaflight Configurator, and they're basically their goal is to make
it runs Betaflight Configurator?
Yes. So I have two statements that I've got linked here from Facebook from Axis. One is a partnership statement that they're a joint statement from Digiview and Axis. Just saying like, hey, there was some confusion, but the Digiview team is fully supporting creating custom hardware. The team at Axis has been in communication with core developers, and they're basically committed to complying with the licensing terms and sharing you know, their hard work and crediting for everything. But they also released a statement that says, following our partnership with Digiview, we have teamed up with Betaflight to add some more functionality to the Axis HD flying box. From the factory, all units will be sold with the Betaflight configurator pre-installed. This is permission and approval of Betaflight and all developers, making for easier user experience. So basically, you can plug in and use this in the field like a setup box for your phone.
I guess kind of like the SpeedyBee app on your phone,
yeah.
Right? But how do you interface with the box? Like you plug in a keyboard?
I think you plug in a keyboard and mouse, yeah. I think it's like, runs like a little, you know.
Because it has HDMI out, so presumably you have a screen.
Yep.
So it's basically, correct me, it seems like this is just like a Raspberry Pi in a cute box.
Yeah, it's like I think it's Rockchip SSD, but yeah, it's like like a nice little like pre-built sort of thing, like built in a box for you, and then built with their version of Digiview with Betaflight config and some other companion apps. And it'll kind of be just built as like a, hey, if you're a race director or if you're a person who cares about getting video out and you don't want to deal with like trying to find what thing to buy and how to install it and what Linux kernel to do whatever with. You know, you just buy this box and plug everything in. You can actually get two videos out, I believe, as well. So they do
it's got
USB-C display port, I think, and then HDMI. So.
And you can do that at the same time? Do you know?
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
Devil.
Go ahead.
I think they mentioned it's like specifically for race directors, or like you have to unlock features to do both or something like that. But yeah, pretty cool.
Devil is in the chat. Devil is the developer who basically discovered the secret that made this whole Digiview USB video out project possible. Devil says, we've got one of these here in the office. It's built super well with a CNC metal shell. Can't wait to see the finalized software for it. That's pretty slick. I like the idea that they went, it's just like, well, it's not right. You said it's not Raspberry Pi, but they're like, we just basically have a computer in here. Sure, let's freaking put Betaflight on it. Let's put Linux on it. There's probably a lot of other things you could be doing with this if you wanted to.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're like a developer or you have software that you think would be handy to be on here, it sounds like they want to do stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know, it's pretty cool. And they're going to provide updates basically that you can do over the network or however, plug in a USB stick. I'm not sure this has networking on it, but you would basically like plug in a USB stick and then flash the new firmware. So
Junus says it runs a version of Android. Wait, have I got that wrong? Did Devil not find the magic bytes?
Yeah, Junus found the magic byte.
Oh, my bad. What did Devil do? Oh, they had the unlock for the FPV drone. My bad. That's my bad. Devil had the unlock for the FPV drone, and Junus found the magic bytes. Take it easy. Take it easy. Not trying to piss anybody off. Junus really reacted in the Discord server. Sorry, man. Devil also corrects me. No, Junus found them. Trying to get credit where credit's due. Okay. Sorry about that, Junus. I'm glad about this statement from Axis Flying and the Digiview project, because at first, one of the reactions that some people had to this product was that Axis Flying was basically trying to rip off an open source project and profit from it. And it's nice to hear that they worked with the Digiview team, and that the Digiview team is like, no, it's an open source project. Sell it if you want to. So that's good. That's good. Everybody is happy except Junus, who's mad at me for misattributing the magic byte. Oh. We have to say, there are absolutely, like, the price of this is $145. There are a zillion free options. 204. 204. Why does it say one?
Because that's like a screen, but if you click the actual box, it's 204 for the cheapest box.
Oh, the screen by itself is just 130.
Yeah.
So if I just say HD box, why can I? HD box with fan. HD
on my
box.
side, I can tell you it's 204.
Okay, 204. Okay, so 204 is a lot. I mean, it may be worth it, but we have to say you can absolutely build one of these yourself with an Android handset. There's a zillion different USB out projects, methods that are supported by the Digiview project. And so if you don't want to pay $200 for this, head on over to the Digiview Discord server, or the website is, what is the website, Blunty?
Yeah, FPV out is the Discord server, and the website, I think. FPV...
FPV out is the Discord server. We should put a link to that in the show notes. Would be great. I should have done that.
FPVout.com.
FPVout.com will help you with various Android, single board computer. There's a web browser version. And even a wireless version. So check that out if you're interested in doing something similar without spending a lot of money. All right. Okay, let's move on from a topic that riled up a bunch of people because I said something dumb to a topic that will not rile anybody up. What's next, Monty?
All right. So Stream, basically another one of these FPV out projects, right? Is D-Stream, this new project that basically was made by racers. They wanted to have a solution so that if you have 8 DJI racers at the field, but you can see them all at once in an easy-to-use solution. So basically, this is a file you run on a PC, and then you plug all the different goggles into the PC, and it will load them all.
Wait, like with USB hubs?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then it will actually go through and assign them each their own ports, and then mount them on a local stream, so that you can then go into OBS, find each of the separate streams, and then line them all up like you want them, and you've got all your 8 goggles hanging out. And it's 8 because that's the limit of ports. That's how many ports can be opened for the way the goggles work.
Wow, that's really impressive, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's really impressive. Great, but how do you time the DJI Racer S1i FPV? You got to figure out the timing solution yourself, unfortunately. But yeah, being able to see 8 feeds at once without any kind of, like, the way that I had thought about doing this in the past would be that you would have an HDMI capture card, right? And you would capture the HDMI. You would do a USB to HDMI to USB capture, and then, but man, HDMI capture, number one, they're expensive, especially these days, minimum $100, maybe more, and running, oftentimes the computer will be doing encoding of the video, and so it's very processor intensive to run OBS with an HDMI capture card, never mind 8 of them. So the idea that you can just capture the stream, not have to do any, presumably not any like remuxing or re-encoding, and just, that's amazing.
I literally just bought a capture card. I'm digging into it. Like the only capture card I found that can record video on its own encoder on the card is the HD60, and that's it. Like every other card, even the ones that claim they have an encoder, like actually make your computer do work for the video encoding. So this is a great solution for people because you kind of get them all together. Yeah,
it's amazing, and it's free and open source. Just, well, I guess you need an 8-way USB hub. Dang, that's really slick.
As many USBs as you can get. This will work. So you might make sure you use a good hub because throughput's going to be pretty high.
Yeah, that's a good. But you're going to definitely want like USB 3.0 or Thunderbolt or something. Yeah, that's an interesting insight though, because I've done live streaming with DJI before using an HDMI capture card and the smart controller, and my laptop has struggled. It's not a high-end laptop. I wonder if I was using the Digiview project, would I do better because it doesn't have to, I mean, maybe OBS still is doing some kind of muxing or re-encoding, but
it depends on which is like more intensive, like what's coming in on each stream probably. And I guess, I don't know. I would say it's probably better to run Digiview because you're deciding the stream that the goggles are giving you.
Correct.
Like you're encoding it like live through the Digiview thing and you're choosing how to do it versus like the HDMI is just sending you like, hey, here's what I got. So
yeah. Anyway, really cool project. If you're into DJ, that's the thing, as the chat is pointing out, okay, cool. Now we can run DJI races. I mean, that was what DVR was one of the things that was missing, but now not a lot of racers running. Johnny 5 has left the chat. Well, speaking of leaving things.
Yes.
Brendan Schulman, and in case anybody out there is like, who gives a crap about Brendan Schulman? Who is this handsome man? He is the lawyer who defended Trappy from the FAA when the FAA like tried to find Trappy. So he is an important guy in FPV. For not just for that, but for a long time he has been the, I think, VP of Legal Affairs or something like that. He's a high up lawyer at DJI. He's leaving DJI and he's going to Boston Dynamics. So that's kind of interesting. It's I'm not sure which company I'm more excited about him working for, DJI or Boston Dynamics is a pretty cool freaking company.
Yeah, they're very interesting to see, but hopefully he'll do good stuff over there. So
yeah, I'm sorry. He's always been a very eloquent advocate for FPV and drones, and I'm kind of sorry to lose him, although I'm sure he's going to do great things over there.
It'll be interesting to see if there's a new voice over at DJI, because he's been involved in a lot of the legal stuff and just communicating about different remote ID and such. I wonder if he'll be if somebody else will take up that reign.
That's an interesting question. He appeared in the Flow State documentary, for example, and talked about why remote ID was going to be a problem, which a lot of people might be surprised to hear DJI putting their neck out in that way. But as long as Brendan worked at DJI, I always felt comfortable saying that I know there is a strong voice for FPV over there. Now it's a big company, and there may be other voices who are not as strong, but I was in that sense, I'm sorry to see him go. So, we've got a couple more super chats coming in with Q&A. Again, I appreciate the super chats. This is a news stream. I will get your super chats towards the end of the stream, but I'm not going to be interrupting the news to do questions like I normally do with a live stream. So thank you for the super chats. Brody, thank you for $10. Anthony Stefano, thank you for $5. If you stick around to the end, I will go ahead and get your questions, but not immediately. Okay. Blunty, what's next?
All right, so HDZero has a lot of new stuff rumored and coming up, so let's take a look at a few of them. Ryan Quillett has made a new video. detailing some of this stuff and looking at the different new features and settings and things that are going to be coming. So
yeah,
one of them that we're seeing here is the wider FOV lens. So there's a little larger FOV option. I think it's 150, something like that.
very nice for racing to be able to. I think a wider FOV is nice for racing because you can corner tighter and see the gate.
Yeah, that's what he talks about here as well.
Yeah, I'm hardly a fast racer, but yeah, so wider, and that's just a drop-in replacement for the lens, right?
Yes. Yep. And then we've also got 1 watt DVR a little bit later here in the video. You'll see what. There you go. 1 watt DVR versus a Hero there. And basically, yeah, this is just the 1 watt DVR.
When you say 1 watt DVR, you mean the 1 watt VTX? It's DVR from the 1 watt VTX, right?
Yeah, it's like race goggles. So it's like from the goggles DVR, but it's of the 1 watt VTX.
Yeah, and you and I saw, maybe it was this very clip, I'm not sure. You and I saw a clip a while back, Blunty, of Shark Byte, and there was like no breakup. And you were like, how? And I said, maybe it's the 1 watt VTX.
Yeah, and you can see here, like most of this flight, you know, you don't get the breakup. There's a little bit of it, but, you know, he has to do a lot of like, get stuff in the way to make it pop up.
I'm so hopeful. I mean, obviously, you can't just take one video from a beta. A beta tester isn't going to put a crappy video up and make the product look bad. I mean, it's not going to happen. But I'm super excited by the amount of breakup that I'm not seeing in this video.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's a reduction in quality, like, you know, we're typically comparing, you know, with like what we would be fighting with analog, you know, because we have static latency, or like comparatively DJI if you were static, and all those kind of things. Like, and there's just like one situation where he says like he got the battery in the way essentially.
Yeah.
But in most of the cases, it looks really good. And if they can do reduction in quality without the blockiness, without the actual breakup, like find ways to cheat that in blur, it definitely helps.
Yeah, that's something
really
people have asked a lot about, whether it would be better to have some kind of breakup in Shark Byte that isn't these sparkles, right? I'm not sure how I feel about that because, like, I remember when DJI first came out and it would do this kind of, it's like your satellite TV, this smeary breakup, right?
Yeah.
And it was distracting because it looked like the quad was moving. It wasn't obvious that what you're seeing is garbage data. Whereas with Shark Byte, when I see those sparkles, I know that that is not good data. It's distracting, but at least I know that I can ignore it. So
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of people don't agree with that, though.
Maybe as a setting would be cool if there was some way to like just have that be configurable. But pretty neat.
Yeah.
So speaking of...
Are you going to move on to the next topic?
I was.
Oh, hang on. There was one more thing in that block that I wanted to make sure we didn't miss, which is there's a new Race VTX coming out, which and the cool thing about that is that it is not this giant slab. It's actually 20 millimeter mounting, so that's nice. And
yeah,
kudos to them for that.
he shows it at the end, but he doesn't. He has to like block it off and just shows that it fits inside of a switchback.
Yeah. So cool. For those of you who are not able to fit the Shark Byte Race VTX into your frame, into your racing frame, one is coming that will fit, hopefully. So they're working on that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about HDZero here, Shark Byte. So I think that kind of leads us to question is like, we used to do these development updates. You know, Fat Shark used to release development updates every 2 to 3 weeks, and we used to talk about them.
They said. Yeah. They committed.
Yeah, committed every 2 weeks. And then we got a couple of delays, but that's fine. You know, it is what it is. We are currently at almost 2 months, about 5 days away from 2 months from the last development update. The last one we had was the release of the Scout. And that kind of made me wonder, like, you know, hey, this seems like about the same time frame as when we started to get the push from HDZero, right? Because all of a sudden we saw Carl come out and go like, hey, we want to get this hardware out. He's posting on RC groups and like making improvements. They started posting things on their own site, selling the camera, things like that. And it seems like around the same time frame. So I just got to wonder, like, hey, where's those updates at?
Well, I mean, it's valid to ask that, and like there was a time when the update was like a little bit late, and it's not like we're not like jumping down Shark Byte's throat, going, "Hey, you're 2 days late." You know, shit happens. We know that, but it's been it's like 6 weeks since the last update, and I think it's totally valid to ask what happened. You know, they released the Scout goggle, the Scout HD goggle. They said this is a pre-release test. We're going to be working on these other goggles, the final version of it. And we're seeing these updates from Ryan Quellet, who is working directly with Carl at HDZero. Ryan Quellet just released a development update, didn't he? 1 watt VTX, etc.
Pretty much.
Why is Fat Shark not releasing those updates? Why does it seem like Ryan Quellet and Shark Byte are driving the development? And Fat Shark has just sort of gone silent.
Yeah, or HDZero. Yeah, I'm not sure. So.
No, we don't. And to be clear, we don't know the answer. This is not a news piece where we'll go, and it turns out that, which is weird because like Fat Shark got bought by Red Cat. Red Cat raised $60-ish million. Yes. So it seems like there should be plenty of money for Fat Shark to be like making goggles or making VTXs, and it doesn't seem like they are.
We'll talk about it a little later when we review, but when we review Red Cat's earnings call, but they do mention like Fat Shark was our biggest earner, our largest revenue source, and they're pushing with digital goggles. So it's like, it's weird that it's like in their lines. So hopefully we see an update from them and they continue to push. You know, I think the rumor was, and the obvious thing was like, we'll have an entry-level goggle of the Scout, and then we'll have a full-size goggle, like an HDO3 style goggle that would be a digital-only goggle or a digital plus analog goggle. That would have the HDMI that they discussed because they polled, well, you know, the goggles have HDMI, but the Scouts don't have it. So what goggles would those be? It has to be a new premium goggle, right? So I just wonder where those are.
Well, there's a MC's Creations in the chat says Fat Shark's owner, that's Greg's attitude explains it, unfortunately. I'm not going to weigh in on Greg's attitude. That would be I'm not going to do that. But you noted that Alan Evans, who is the VP of Fat Shark, has been for years. You noted that did he take a position at Red Cat? Yeah,
he's it's not CFO, something like that at Red Cat. Yeah, he's has some position at Red Cat, and then they added another position for him in their recent updates on the earnings call, where he's now a CEO of another global defense solutions position at Red Cat, I believe. So
and I have noticed times in the past when Greg has made some public statements and has expressed a little bit of a negative attitude towards people who want things from his company or want things from his products, and have thought, you know, it's nice that there's somebody like Alan there to, and then Chad Capper got hired as director of marketing or whatever. He's a marketing position. I'm not sure if it's director level or whatever, but and I heard rumors that he was the one who was writing the development updates. I was like, oh, these development updates are very well written. Clearly, Greg didn't write these. Not that Greg isn't an eloquent man, just there was no sort of, fine, you guys, that we made this product that you asked for. It was really hard. Okay, now I was going to restrain myself, but
so lack of shade, I think.
Lack of shade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I thought, oh, it's great that Alan is there and Greg and Chad is there to help. So, because Greg made the company, Greg contributes a lot. The company, Fat Shark, wouldn't exist without him. But sometimes CEOs need to not be public facing quite as much. And it felt like that was going on. And so I wonder, and again, we don't have an answer here, but if Alan is now working at this position at Red Cat and has this other position, and I wonder if that might explain why Fat Shark has lost some momentum, that Greg isn't driving the development in the way that he used to. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's great that HDZero is driving the development, but as Carl hinted at in his interview with Chris Rosser, HDZero is not good at making FPV VTX's goggles. That is not their area of expertise. They make wireless video transmission systems, and they need a partner. to make the things like the goggles and the VTXs. So I hope someone steps up. If Fat Shark isn't, in some way, or even if they are, I hope somebody like a TBS or like Immersion RC or like a Rush Racing steps up, or like a Sky Zone HDZero goggles, right? Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
God, Sky Zone would kill at this, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and I don't know if any of them are listening, but I'll just say this, like, you don't even have to do it. Just tell us why you can't. That's fine. Like, if you, like, to me, that would be great. If you went to Carl and you said, hey, like, here's the chipsets I want and here's what I want to do, and then you go back and forth, and then after a month you find out, like, oh, this isn't feasible because of X, Y, Z, sharing that with the community might help drive development of something to fix it. And I'm sure Carl would push to change things to make it work for you, since he seems hell-bent on making this work. So, I don't know. I just
but he doesn't know. He doesn't know why. I mean, he'll figure it out given enough time, but that's not where he's going to excel. I guarantee you, if Carl got in the same room as TBS engineers, we would get a giant quantum leap forward in the quality and performance and feature set of the Shark Byte video transmitter, the HDZero video transmitter. Same thing for Tony Cake from Immersion RC. Same thing for with goggles, right? Daniel from Sky Zone, give us an HDZero goggle. Let's see it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Real quick, we did not get this in the show notes, but Halo Walker is in our Discord and reminds us that the next DRL season starts tomorrow on NBC. I think that's also streamed on Twitter.
I'm going to throw that in the show notes real quick. Hold on. I can just throw that right the F in. Hang on. Just throw that in and we'll put a link. Next year I'll see. Wait, can you actually watch? When can you watch? You got to watch on NBC. Oh, sorry, DRL. I don't have network television.
It used to be at least live streamed on Twitter.
Yeah.
At least all the previous seasons were on Twitter. That's where I saw them all.
Okay. We'll put a link in there. Okay, good. Now that's in the show notes. Bam. Done.
All right.
Done it. Jeremy Sarge says they were pushing Trappy on the TBS couch to reach out to Carl, and sounded like he might. That would be interesting.
Only good, I would think. Right? Can only be beneficial.
Oh yeah, yeah. The more the merrier. All right. Next up, I think we all know that it is a bad idea to give me what I want when I rant about things. We've talked about this. It just encourages me to rant about things and beg for things, and teaches me that that gets results. And we have another example of that. And I don't know how long this product was in development so I don't know for sure. I mean, like, I'm not the only one who thought that this was necessary, but
I'm pretty sure this is coming anyway, but it's convenient timing.
This is a Crossfire to PWM converter from Maytech. Maytech makes some good hardware.
Specifically CRSF to PWM. So anything that uses that protocol, like all of Express LRS,
or Crossfire.
Honestly, or Crossfire if you wanted to use it, because the nicer version of this has 10 PWM outputs out of your CRSF, and also does GPS integration, and I think has a BEC on it too. So
yeah, this is a big deal for Express LRS, because Express LRS doesn't have PWM outputs. It just doesn't. So if you want to run Express LRS with a plane, you can't drive servos directly, can you? You just can't. You could run it through a flight controller, but you can't drive the servos directly.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas this will let you do that. In addition, with Crossfire, the Crossfire receivers can output PWM, but you only get, I believe it's 4 outputs on a Crossfire Nano. They have big receivers.
6. I think that maybe, it's 4 or 6. But yeah, this will do 10 on the big ones. So pretty cool.
So that's pretty exciting. Thank you very much to Maytech. You have another Maytech product in here that isn't directly related, but we wanted to throw it out because we just love promoting Express LRS stuff. And this is a new 2.4 gig receiver from Express LRS. Blunty, is this just another? It's diversity. That's cool. Is that the first Express LRS diversity receiver?
I think it might be the second one. I think there's one other one. I can't remember exactly who makes it, but the big thing for me here, I think the big difference from a lot of people, there may be another one like this too, I'm not sure, but is that it has 22.5 dBm of telemetry power. It has a PNA on it just for the telemetry. So that's pretty neat for anybody who needs that telemetry distance.
Yeah, it'll keep your telemetry range closer to, or maybe as far as your link range, whereas normally telemetry is much, much weaker and fails first. So, very, very slick. Thank you, Maytech, for the work that you've done there.
Yeah, also
Okay.
really neat to see people like Maytech hopping into Express LRS. More solutions.
It's going. It's going. Has it reached critical mass? Is it snowballing now?
I think we're getting there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely getting there.
We got
What is
we got
5
bind
or
and
6
flies.
companies?
We got 5 or 6 companies. Happy Model, Naminmo, Betaflight, HDLRC, and Maytech making receivers. Obviously, there's also the DIY options from of course, but that's out of a lot of people's reach. We got 2 companies I know for sure, Happy Model and Betaflight, making bind and flies. Is there anybody like an iFlight that's making a bind and fly with Express LRS built in? Like not a whoop with it actually literally built into the flight controller.
I'm not sure. Like as an option for extra, like an extra receiver.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Still a chance to be the first at that. Yeah, super exciting. Let's do it. It's great. It's great. It's a really exciting project.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we got this bug in OpenTX. What's the
Real
deal?
quick, I just want to point.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to point out. Somebody, Mr. Huggy in the chat, pointed out that TBS has a PWM Nano RX like converter that converts CRSF to Nano like PWM, but that actually doesn't have any electronics inside, so it won't do the actual conversion. It's TBS still outputs PWM to it. So
correct. It's just giving you pins to plug into. Yes. The receiver is generating the PWM signals, which ExpressLRS doesn't do. At least not the main branch of ExpressLRS. It's open source, so somebody's probably made a branch that does it. But
I think Captain Bry actually did that CR Servo F like a tool to do that.
Yeah, so. And again, if you're using the Crossfire Nano, it only has a limited number of channels. So yeah. All right. Next up, we've got a bug in OpenTX, and I think this graph says it all, Blunty. Clearly, right? No.
If you know what you're looking at, I think so.
What's the deal with this bug?
The thing to know is that essentially, if you go down, there's a chart that actually maybe is a little better that shows latencies. That one right there. But yes, but basically, if you're running an OpenTX or EdgeTX radio currently, no matter what, you are either in the red or orange category. So the red category is obviously the worst. And that means that if you boot your radio and you have no model selected, no internal or external module, you will get this default. And I think that's basically a really long schedule period, like a 50 millisecond schedule period. And that causes you to have crazy high latency over USB.
37 millisecond latency max, average of 19. Is 19 milliseconds considered crazy high these days, Plenty?
Well, jitter, I think, is the problem. So you're getting a jitter here because the mixer is 25 ms. You're getting this crazy jitter when it's polling. And it's causing it to sometimes pull really on time and sometimes pull really late.
Yeah, I think the key thing about that is that when you got a situation like that where the update times are not synced up, it's going to be cyclical in nature. It's not like randomly, like sometimes it's 37 and it's like it's progressing from low to high and back around again. So it's really all over the place. It's not like, well, only 1% of the time it's 37 milliseconds. It's all over the place.
Yeah, and so there's another category here, orange. So that will be where you're at if you do have an internal or external module selected. So it will use the mixer from that and then correctly set it to an interval of 0 and all this jazz. So basically, in that case, the problem is it doesn't fix anything to do with USB. So basically, it was programmed so there's always a 10 millisecond interval. And that means that you're polling on top of a 10 millisecond interval, a jitter of 4 milliseconds. So you end up getting this same thing where you get a higher rate than we would want, and you get a jitter. So it ends up being...
Yeah, go ahead.
It just ends up being a little higher than we would expect. Me and Bri were talking about that earlier. But essentially, it's that you're getting 15 milliseconds on average with a jitter up to 22. So.
And I think this is this is interesting because a lot of people say that their simulator has weird latency, that the physics feel weird. And I'm not claiming that this is like the only reason. There's lots of other reasons why that might be. But I feel like if your latency is high and it's variable over time, I think that's going to affect you. I said I would check at the beginning of the stream.
Welcome to OpenTX.
I'm going to check my joystick model, and I'm going to see which of these situations I'm in. I bet I'm in the red. So I'm going to go model select and go to my joystick model, and I'm going to load it. And I'm going to guess that my internal and external module are off. Of course. Why wouldn't they be? Let's see. And internal RF off, external RF off. So I am in the red when I play on a simulator with this radio.
Yes. However, I will say that there is like a thing that happens essentially if you boot the radio in a model that has either selected, or maybe it's just the external selected. It will hold that and it will not default back to the red. It will stay orange no matter where you change it to. So,
well, so how do we get to the green, Blunty? How do we get the latency and the jitter down?
So testing has come up with blue, none, and green. Green looks to be the solution, which is essentially saying like, hey, let's pull as quick as we can. We'll pull every 1 millisecond. Mixers every 2 milliseconds, so we'll just get our packets there all the time. And basically, it's just in testing now. So this is a PR put in. If everything works out great, then EdgeTX will accept this. OpenTX hopefully will also accept this. And in however much time, the next release will have this fix in it, and your USB will be correct.
Wow. I can't wait. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to fly in a simulator and gone, oh, why am I flying like crap? And now I have an excuse.
Yeah.
Like I get the frame rate up. I have a high-end computer, high-end graphics card. I'm like, I know I fly better than this. I'm going to hope, I'm going to flash. I should do a video where I flash this and immediately test it. It'll be very interesting to see if it makes. So this is going into EdgeTX. EdgeTX will certainly merge this very quickly. When do we have an idea when we might see it in OpenTX? This is an EdgeTX pull request.
Yes, not specifically, but it is being submitted there as soon as it can be, basically. So, however fast that all happens, then it will be done.
Well, kudos to EdgeTX. Again, another reason why open source is so exciting.
I'll just say this is yet another banger from Captain Bry. I think in the last 8 weeks we've probably featured five or six news stories from Bry. So
Captain Bry was he was the guy who discovered the magic packet with DJI too, wasn't he?
You're gonna make so many people.
Lean into the cringe. Okay, stop. I know it was Junus. Now I know. Alrighty, Blunty. The next one, we got another piece of Express LRS news, but we should have put these together, but I guess it's too late now. If you have a Happy Model Express LRS module, then some people have been pulling the cover off of it and noticing that the elements are not the same length and have been really confused. And they're saying basically, Happy Model, did you F up? And are your antennas crap? Happy Model, of course. We knew it was coming. And we got somebody who actually tested it. Yeah,
Sandor De Broner put it on a VNA. And he linked us one of them basically. I've got the imager link in the.
Oh, do we not? Where is it? Oh, there it is. What did I click on?
I think the last story.
What did I click on? Oh, what's my problem? Oh, there we go. So much clearer.
So we've got a nice clean sweep from a VNA. To his words, perfect. Were all 4 of them that he tested, and they seem. Not perfect, but good enough for RC perfect. So
yeah, and I don't know how to read. I know how to read this graph here. That graph makes sense to me. This graph I've seen before, but I have no idea how to interpret it. But the takeaway is that all 4 of the antennas he tested were essentially perfect for the purposes of FPV. There's nothing wrong with them. Whatever they did with those elements being different length, they're correct. And also the fact that he tested 4 of them and none of them were like, because a lot of times with cheaper stuff, you see inconsistent quality. So you'd have like 2 good ones and 1 really crappy one. But all 4 they just nailed it.
Yes, and he points this out in the next little video he has as well. He also sent us over a video. He did some testing on the output power of his Happy Model Espresso RS modules. He actually got two of them at different times, appearingly from different batches because they had different cases and such, ordered at different times. And they were basically like TLDR or TLDW. They were perfect. They were like right on the money, exactly the power output they said they would be. And he was super impressed. So
he is. I assume he is talking now, but we don't hear that because the audio is muted. And this is not just like, oh, I use the Immersion RC RF power meter. He has actual RF test equipment.
Yeah, this is a Siglant test. So
that's dead. That's dead. Look at that freaking boom.
Yeah,
look
he
at
talks
that
about it in the video, but he's
flat
like,
line.
this is really impressive because it's like perfect.
That's really good. That's really flat.
Yeah, he talks about he says he has to capture it a little oddly. Maybe that's part of why it's like that. But he talks about that because it's frequency hopping.
Yeah.
And so at the end, you'll see like a jagged graph there. And then he actually shows he was able to catch a frequency hop session. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Well, good. Happy Model. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Happy Model. I mean, when Happy Model first released their expressionless receivers, I was like, well, we have to see how the quality holds up. Is it going to be a bad batch? Now, I think, are they past their first batch? Usually the first batch is good. Have they done multiple runs?
I'm assuming there are multiple runs. However, that's a great lead into the next story because we do have an issue with the Happy Model batch.
You know, I didn't even do that on purpose.
Well, it's a good segue. Unfortunately, there is an issue with the EP receivers. Currently, it looks like it's only the Happy Model receivers, but it could be on any of them if they use a under-spec'd voltage regulator. So basically, it was discovered that if your EP receiver has the markings SDG on the on the voltage regulator on it, it's actually under-spec'd. And what happens is there's a startup procedure that causes it to draw too much power, and that causes some kind of weird issue where it kind of falls into a mid-boot situation, and then it just starts to heat up and eventually burns itself out because there's no safety for that. Unfortunately, it looks like this was a bad batch of these receivers, so you should check for these if you have them. And if you had a receiver burn out, Happy Model should hopefully replace these. However, we are looking at a pull request that is a fix for this. So if you have any of these and they have not burned out for you, you can also just install this in your configurator. It's already there. If you go check on the list, there's one specifically labeled for this power issue. And you can flash that one and fix this without having this problem. The other way to fix it is a couple reboots. If you continually reboot it, sometimes it will work normally because you skip that little section of it and it won't overdraw. But I would recommend you either return or flash this change.
Do we have I don't see it in the show notes. Do we have a photo of what they're looking for on their Happy Model? Like, can we bring up a Happy Model EP receiver and show people where to look?
Sure.
Like, let's see if we can just get a good... Is it on this side of the board, Blunty?
I believe it's that back in the bottom right corner there, but I'm not 100%
This thing
sure.
here?
Yeah, I'd have to...
It'd be great if we could give people that info. Yeah, it doesn't look like there is a Beck on this side of the board.
Bry's in the chat. Maybe he'll tell us about that.
Yeah.
Looks like
we can't see the actual etching. But, I mean, there's only so many things here that could be a Beck, to be honest.
Yes.
Bry is typing.
I think there's 3 things on the board. If you flip it over, there's one more on the back. So
he says you're right. So they're going to want to look at this component on their receiver, and what is the marking that they're looking for?
They're looking for an SDG. You may need to turn it. You may need to turn it in the light so you can see it. Get it under something to see. Maybe take a picture with your phone and zoom in, something like that.
Well, I mean, the takeaway may just be if you have an SDG, then Happy Model will replace it. That's what you said?
Correct. Well, I don't know, but at the bottom of this PR it says, should I contact Happy Model? It says absolutely.
Yeah, and if you just flash this fix, then it'll fix it. Correct. And if you don't have the SDG, then you're not affected. So That's the takeaway.
Yeah, and you can also see from the symptoms, there's symptoms listed there of dim LED and long LED. So if you're seeing those, there's another issue that's related to like a pull down inversion issue, but this specifically is like, detailed there. If you're seeing them, then you'll know, and you can flash it.
Okay.
So.
All right, cool. Well, nobody's nerfed, Valenti.
Yes.
That's why pencils have erasers. I said that.
Are you a middle school guidance counselor?
No, but I wanted to be. All right, next up, Blunty. Getting away from the technical stuff into the fun stuff. This is the smallest ever human-made flying structure, at least according to this website. Plant seeds, yada, yada, yada. Let's see the damn drone. John Rogers. Okay, all right. Let's see it. There it is. The microflyer is the smallest ever human-made flying structure. It's these little doohickeys there. They fly on the wind. I guess they're not powered, huh?
Correct. Yeah, it's generating angles with the power from the wind to make it last longer in the wind, essentially. So essentially, like one of the issues they have is like, hey, if we want to monitor like a storm or an air pressure thing or like whatever's going on in this area, stuff doesn't stay up there very long for us to get much data. So this is an idea of like, hey, we can get way more data if we can slow it down and descend way more slowly. So these will record data and descend way more slowly.
They transmit information, or are they like RFID tags that like?
I'm guessing they're recording onto them locally and then they're scanned later.
I'm not sure how that could be
made clear.
It doesn't look like it has any actual ICs. It just is it looks like a PCB. I wonder if it works like a RFID tag where you send out a pulse and the energy of the pulse causes it to ping back. I don't know.
Well, I think I don't know. I would assume it's somehow generating that from the wind, right?
I don't know. You think it's transmitting? How would it? All right.
Well, I don't mean transmitting. I mean using the energy on it to store somewhere. But I also don't see storage there. But
no, I don't see storage.
I don't know much about how this stuff works. So here you go. There's a little picture. What was in the center of that? There's some kind of something. It's physical in there, right?
Here? No.
No, if you go back, there's a blue right there.
Oh, they're gonna put circuitry on it. I see.
Yeah, it looks like there are circuits there.
Gotcha. So they put components on it. That is, I'm disappointed to hear that this exists because I know there's people out there who already have, microdust is tracking your 5G. And now I can't now.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
Actually.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, just another thing for us to be afraid of and another way for the government to track us. Moving on. It's kind of cool.
All right. So kind of a weird story here. Hopefully this isn't permanent for AirMap, but maybe, I don't know. I think they're still trying to charge people for takeoff. So maybe we do want them to go away, but AirMap has disappeared off the list of approved service providers for Lance. So unfortunately, if you use AirMap, you are not able to get Lance authorization. And up to this point, that is still the case. So if you go to the bottom here, there's an actual statement from the FAA. Basically, they say like, sometimes a company is temporarily not authorized during the revalidation process to provide these services that allow drones to safely operate at low altitudes where other traditional aircraft also operate. So basically, we're reviewing their stuff, and for whatever reason, we decided to suspend them while we do the review. So
no idea why they were suspended or when. I mean, they said temporary, so presumably the FAA expects them to come back. But neither AirMap nor the FAA have indicated why they got dropped or so. What should people do? What's the alternatives, Blunty?
Basically, anything else. There's a lot of different Lance apps that you could use. They're all listed there, of course. Aloft, I think, is one that many people are using these days. I think that Kitty Hawk was absorbed into Aloft. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, it looks like Aloft and Airspace Link are the only ones with all 4 check marks. So that means they're the best, and that's what I'm going to use. No, I don't know. Okay, but Lance is a generic system. Various companies have the ability to access the Lance system and offer Lance approvals. So the fact that AirMap got dropped, if you're a Lance operator, if you're a commercial operator and you need Lance approval, there are many other ways you could get it. So you're not screwed, but it's bad if you're AirMap.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, hopefully that gets resolved. We'll cover it if it does. Next up, Blunty, we got 2 pieces of Red Cat news. A lot of people are curious about this Red Cat pump and dump. Was it a pump and dump? Well, we'll talk about it. And then we've got one fun topic to close with. But we're going to start with stuff from the Red Cat earnings call. They're publicly traded. They have to tell us all their secrets. What secrets did they share?
So I listened to, we've got a press release here. It's not super big, so I went ahead and listened to the call. It's like 20 minutes.
Man.
Basically, we got a lot of the similar stuff to the last time we had an earnings call. So, revenue is up, loss is up, but for a reason, because we're growing, that sort of deal, right? The main things to take away here are that most of the revenue is still from Fat Shark, as it was before. And they're looking to Fat Shark to be, a primary revenue source. However, the new revenue source they're talking about, which is more, it looks to be more than Fat Shark will be in the next few quarters here, will be they're building Golden Eagle drones from Teal. So Golden Eagle is one of the ones that was accepted by the U.S. DoD, and they're planning to make 600 of them. And they said basically if they can sell them, which they look like they already have the orders to sell them, then they'll make about 6 to 8 million in revenue from those, and that would top the revenue that they pull in currently from Fat Shark and their other sources. And then slowly they'll be doing more acquisitions on the software side mainly. They won't be going company crazy in the next 6 months to a year, but slowly building up. So
yeah. I'm curious. I don't know if they broke it out. How much of that was Rotor Riot? Did they break it out by company, or did they not?
They did not. It might be on their statement, one of their earnings statements here, but I did not see it broken out in the chat or when they talked about it.
Yeah.
They just mentioned Fat Shark when they talked about revenues. So.
Oh, poor Rotor Riot. It'd be interesting to know.
They did bring up, they talked about branding. Somebody asked in the Q&A if they wanted to maintain branding or not, and they said Rotor Riot, Fat Shark are both really strong brands, and they would not be looking to get rid of them at any time. So they certainly still see it as a valuable brand to have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's nice that they're making money. We got another piece about this Skypersonic NASA contract, and that's separate from the Teal drones thing. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. This happened a few days after the earnings call. There was an announcement by NASA that Skypersonic, which is the remote software, like the controlling drones from over the country sort of thing.
Yeah, Drew flew that drone inside their offices from Orlando. Like somehow they've got the latency down to usable.
Yeah, and so they're going to be using that real-time remote piloting platform for a simulated Mars mission. So while they're doing internal, like people living in the Mars Dune Alpha thing, where they're like isolated and they're in the habitat and they're like living on Mars, they'll be controlling the things like they will be on Mars with Skypersonic technology. And they made a 5-year deal there. So that's definitely pretty big for them and caused another bump in the stock. I think it went up.
Yeah, it caused a big bump in the stock.
78% or 85% or something was the peak off of open. And then we saw it drop back down a little bit. So.
And some people in the chat were like, oh, it's a pump and dump. It's not a pump. I mean, announcing that you got a NASA contract that will make you money and then your stock goes up. I mean, that's just how stocks work, right? It's not a pump and dump where you announce some fake piece of information. Then you also, it's not a pump and dump if nobody sold. I don't know that anybody sold, but
I think the big thing is like the amount of volume was just insane compared to the last time we had a pump and dump and the Teal acquisition happened. It was like 30 or 40 million trades, and then by I think 10 a.m. there was up to 150 million trades that I was looking at. So a lot of movement going on, a lot of volume.
movement. Yeah, I mean that's all. It just seems like these are things that a successful company is doing. They're getting contracts. They're selling products. I'm kind of stunned.
Yeah.
I'm happy, but I'm stunned. Why am I stunned?
It seems
Why
like
am
it's
I
a
stunned?
real company. Because it didn't seem like a real company.
It didn't. Like, I don't know how much my personal prerogative. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that much about how this stuff works, but from my observation of it, all this hinges on the fact that they were able to acquire the funding because they were able to convince people in the IPOs or in the POs, whatever, to give them the money from buying the stock, right? The value now creates a big ass buffer of cash. So now when they're a million to 2 million in deficit from spending, it's not a thing because you got 66 million in the bank. Well, so suddenly a company that looked weird, right, is now like, hey, it doesn't matter how much we spend because that's like 10% or 5% or whatever.
The company looked weird to me because when I first met Jeff Thompson, he was like, yeah, we're going to do crypto. And I was like, okay, crypto, black box, blockchain, insurance. I'm like, okay, I don't like good, more power to you just because I don't get it. I'm not like you're the guy who previously made a, big multi-million-dollar company. So clearly you know what you're doing, but I didn't grasp really any of it. And it all seemed very speculative, and it has somehow gone to something very concrete. They acquired these companies. I believe from what we know, most of these companies, if not all of them, were acquired in no cash transactions. It was a stock, exchange. So they somehow convinced the owners of these companies to all be acquired by them. And then it seems to have worked out because now they have $60 million that they're sitting on. So I was
going to say, I think it's going to work out for everyone the way it's like planning. In the Q&A, Jeff said basically that like, we're in every branch of the government in some way or another currently.
Yeah.
So like that's good for them.
One IFPV says, does anybody know who the seeders were? That's the thing. There were obviously Red Cat had some rounds of investment before they acquired Rotor Riot, Fat Shark, etc. Like I'm sure that they had raised money from private investors before. I don't know the details of any of that, but but as far as I know, I'm pretty sure I'm sure that the Fat Shark acquisition was announced as a no cash acquisition, and I think that that's true for some of the others. Although I don't know how much of that was public, or I don't want to overstate what I know, but I don't think that when Fat Shark was valued at $7 million in the acquisition, it doesn't mean that Red Cat gave Fat Shark $7 million to acquire them. They didn't bring any cash to that transaction, as far as I know. And if that's true for the others, it means that there was no. Yeah.
I feel like it was a small amount, like under $1 million, and then the rest was options or something. I feel like I remember seeing like 5 something and then 1. I don't remember exactly that. So.
Yeah. But the idea that Red Cat acquired these companies with a giant pile of cash that they raised is actually completely backwards. Red Cat, and seeing how it played out, I'm going to guess that they said, hey, if you agree to be acquired by us, we're going to go public and going to make a shitload of money. And it turns out they were right. So good for them.
Yeah. I think now they're in a position to do whatever they need to do because they have this buffer,
Mm-hmm. And we'll see what that is.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a bunch of stuff with the DoD, a bunch of stuff we won't see from really fancy military drones.
I don't care. That's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear you're going to make a new HD system that competes with DJI. $60 million, make it happen. No,
we can hope. We can hope.
All right. Well, that brings us to our last item, Blunty.
Yes.
Do you feel secure in your home?
Secure enough. I have a dog. Henry's here. So
what about the people who don't have Henry? Well, let me ask you this. If you were not home one day, like you're out flying and someone breaks into your home, could Henry let you know?
No. I don't think he can call me. No. We haven't learned that trick yet.
Henry could bark, maybe.
Yes.
What if instead of Henry you had a remote controlled flying drone that flies around your house? I mean, like Henry, it will spend most of its time docked to its bed and not moving.
Yeah. And then when it gets up, it does it for about 5 minutes and goes back. Yeah.
That's right. It'll get up, it'll walk around the house and go back to sleep. Oh my God. What do we even say about this, Blunty?
I don't know. I think it's interesting because this will be, if these end up being any kind of popular, this may be the most common drone in the United States at some point. You know what I mean? Like if people were like buying these like a Google Home or something, you know, if you start coming with things or Amazon starts pushing these for some reason, you know, like how many people have a Nest thermostat? You know what I'm saying? Like way more people than own a brushed quad or brushless quad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Still no pilot name in the Discord says, didn't Ring do something like this before? No, that was this. This was announced a long time ago, but now it's actually available for pre-order.
Yes. So. Yeah, they're sending them to select like Amazon Insider people, and then it will go for sale pretty soon here once all the kinks are worked out. But
do you see that they're not flying it manually? They're selecting where it's going to fly, and it goes there automatically. That's actually pretty clever.
Yeah, one thing they talk about in the previous stuff is just that like we want it to be automatic, so it'll like know what zone to go to and like respond to different like alarm sensors you have and stuff like that.
And every ad like this, I love to see how they have dressed and cast the guy breaking into the house. Like this guy, you know, Seth Rogen has decided to break into your kitchen for a midnight snack. That's how I'm reading this. Like, why is this guy breaking into the house? Let's see. I don't know. What'd he say? What'd he say? He's talking. Hang on. Let's get the audio up.
Alarm.
Hey, I'm a drone. I'm a freaking drone here.
Yeah, that's not good.
Is it? Is it not good? Why is it not good? Was that your first thought when you see a drone? That's not good? I don't know. Maybe.
Actually, it's great because you can watch live from anywhere. Well, good for you guys. And when you're home.
Pretty ridiculous. But yeah, interesting.
That's not good. Like, why is he I'm breaking into this house because I want to rob these people. These nice people. Look how nice these people are. Look at those nice people. Why would you want to rob them?
I don't think that's how that works.
I'm gonna rob this house. Oh, they have a drone. Well, I guess as long as I already broke their window and am inside their house robbing them, I won't just like swat this drone out of the air, finish what I'm doing, and leave before the police come.
Yeah, this definitely doesn't increase. Maybe you'll see their face, but I don't know who's coming into a house without.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's if it can only. Anyway. If it can, let's think this through. If it can only go to specific places, why would you not just install fixed cameras and then not have to deal with a stupid drone flying around?
Well, I definitely think that's like, yeah, but you have to, I don't know, does Ring do, I think Ring does cameras that you could just mount up and they're wireless.
I mean, the point is that you could fly it around your house and check your house up, but you just put cameras in every room in your house, which is what people do. At which point, why do you need this thing? Because it will terrify the
yeah,
well, that's not good.
But it also can't see if you don't tell it to, like if it's not out of the box, right? So maybe people who are paranoid about their camera spying them or recording all the time, this just flies to wherever it needs to go.
That's interesting.
Like it can't see what it can't see, you know?
Interesting.
So.
All right. Well, I should get one and I should make a video about it, right? Clearly.
Yeah.
Always home cam.
I don't know if I will, but there you go. Alrighty, Blunty. Wow, we've gone super long tonight, but we had so much great news. Unfortunately, we're not done yet because I got a couple super chats I got to read. So let me get those out of the way, and then we'll say bye-bye to the people. Duck My Squee, thanks for $5 New Zealand dollars. Ring's security drone will be completely pointless because your cat will love sleeping on it. Yeah, cannot take off cat. Sergey Romanov, thanks for another 1,000 rubles. What do you think the future holds for FPV? Is it possible to use high-speed 5G cellular network for video and control? No worry about contributing in rubles, Sergey. Please don't stress about that. 5G networks at the high band 5G networks have low enough latency and high enough data rate that you could fly real time, but they have extremely short range. And most of the time, even when you're on 5G, you will not have sufficiently low latency or sufficiently high data rate to do real time flight. Obviously, you can always do autonomous flight where you upload waypoints. That's fine, but you could do that over cellular now. So I don't think 5G is going to make that big of a difference because the really high speed stuff is very, very short range. So
I agree. I was going to say, I think if the DRL, DRL talked about that sponsorship with T-Mobile. If they're doing any live video at all with 5G and not just like DJI or something or whatever they're using live video with, then I would guess they've just done that high band all over the course.
Yes.
So that
makes
you can
a lot
just
of
get
sense.
it wherever you need it, because they can put up this.
It just has the high band stuff. The 60 gigahertz stuff has no penetration. Is it 60 gig? I'm not sure. It has no penetration is the point. Very little. What's the difference? Thank you, Anthony DiStefano. What's the difference between audience mode on DJI goggles and using a USB cable? The USB cable is getting the full quality feed with all the retransmissions and everything. And you're seeing literally what the pilot sees when you use a USB cable. When you're in audience mode, any data that gets lost results in degraded image quality, and there's a lot of that. So, Brody, thanks for a $10 super chat. What are a couple stacks you would say are most reliable? Brody, check out my website, fpvknowitall.com, home of the ultimate FPV shopping list. I have recommended parts. I would just start on 5-inch freestyle, and there's a section there for flight controllers and ESCs. These are not the only reliable ones. They're not the only good ones, but I just like to narrow it down to 4 or 5 good ones that I can feel it safe recommending, and that would be a great place to start there. Sergey Romanov, another 1,000 rubles, asks, I have a flight controller Mamba F722 with Wi-Fi. I don't know how to switch on Wi-Fi to connect to SpeedyB and Android. The Wi-Fi should be on, just on. The minute you plug in, it should just be there. Actually, I take that back. You connect with Bluetooth in the SpeedyB app, and then if the flight controller has Wi-Fi, it like auto connects and transitions over. But Sergey, you need to be in. Do you have the SpeedyB app? That may be what you are. You're using the SpeedyB app in Android. So in the SpeedyB app, you just hit the Wi-Fi connect thing, and it should detect it and pick it up. Yeah. Hang on. Let me double check this. I think the Wi-Fi is on. Just on. It just turns on. Sometimes it takes a minute to turn on, like not literally a minute. Yeah, so you just, in the SpeedyB app, you just hit the Wi-Fi and it'll search for it, right? Yeah, that's all you got to do, though. That's literally it. That's it. We're caught up. Great.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you, Blunty, for joining me.
Yes. As always, if you have news, email news@fpvknowitall.com. Somebody asked us to put that in the show notes, but it's on the screen. Literally, if you watch any of the show,
yeah, it's right there the whole time.
It's right there. So you can always find it there. Go ahead and like this video if you haven't. We always appreciate that. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the highlights channel.
Ooh, let's see how many subs I've got over the course of this.
Yeah.
64. I'm up to 64.
Right.
That's it. You got 500 people watching this. Only 64 of you subbed to the Clips channel. Get that number up. Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Happy flying.
Yeah.
All right.